Bron here with you on BBC Radio Wales, and I'm joined now by an artist who has created artworks of pop royalty, Mariah Carey and Tom Jones to name a couple, to actual royalty, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and always using the most inventive, creative materials. And do you remember Simon Cowell's portrait as well, made out of Marmite and toast? Amazing. Nathan Wyburn from Cardiff has had such a busy year, and 2024 looks even busier for him. Hiya, Nath, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks for having me on.
Oh, you are so welcome. I've been wanting, you've been on my list to get on this year, but you, like I said, you're so busy. But let's talk about your art. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, can you tell us about some of the portraits that you've created, and more importantly, what you used to make them?
Yeah, do you know what? It's such a complicated thing to explain, but essentially it's anything and everything. I believe that anything can be art and that anybody can have a go at it using anything from around the house. So I love that it's accessible to anyone, and I'm a big champion for that. But essentially I started off using random food products, basically because I didn't have much money growing up. Instead of spending £30-40 on oil paints and a canvas, I bought a jar of Marmite and a loaf of bread, and I turned it into Simon Cowell. YouTube was just starting out at the time as well, sort of like 2009, 2010, jumped on that, and that kind of helped everything kickstart, really. And from there I branched out into using anything and everything, from makeup to soil to chopping up old clothing and newspapers. It has a huge sort of sustainability recycling element to it as well. It's just great fun.
It does look great fun, and you're so good as well on social media. If any of you follow Nathan on social media, you are just brilliant as well of showing the process behind your artworks as well. How important is that for you to show the process? Yeah,
hugely actually. I kind of feel like the process and the videos of everything happening is more of the art than the final piece. Yeah. It was never intentional really to start with. I just kind of thought it'd be quite cool for people to watch it. Didn't really know whether people would be interested, but thankfully they are. Yeah. And I think it's got that educational element to it as well. So I get to go into schools a lot and chat to a lot of the younger generation about thinking outside the box, and they get to actually see me do it rather than obviously creating new live things all the time. They can watch things at home on their iPads and whatnot. And yeah, the whole process has become a huge part of the final piece, especially where they're quite often perishable things that I don't get to keep, like pizzas and random bits of baked beans and whatnot. You don't get to keep them, you have to eat them, so or recycle them. So yeah, the actual photographs and the videography of it all is the art too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And like I said, you know, you do portraits of celebrities a lot. And how do you pick your celebrities? Because we've mentioned Simon Cowell with Marmite, and of course he's the, you know, love him or hate him figure. And you've created Judy Garland in a rainbow drop sweets sort of portrait. Ed Sheeran from clippings of your own hair, which is, I think, is the most amazing thing ever.
I'm a ginger, everyone, so you know.
Yeah, for those who can't see. So, you know, do your materials try and reflect the person always?
Yes, so I try to make the link there. Quite often it's quite a fun, comical link. It's nothing too serious. But sometimes it can have a bit more of a punch to it, you know. The artwork can sometimes explain a more serious topic or something that I stand for. And sometimes art can do things that words can't. So an image will stick in your head more than maybe, you know, some words that you read in a newspaper. So it tells a story as well. But I can quite literally be walking up and down the aisle in the supermarket and think, right, that jar of jam is going to be perfect for this person. And my head...
I wonder what you think about me.
To live in my head, Bron, seriously, it's bonkers.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Like, yeah, the creative process for you is just so unique. And so who have you met this year and created their portrait? Like, go on, name drop, go on.
Oh gosh, okay, so I'm going to go straight for the big ones now. Sting. Oh my God. That was bonkers. I made him out of barley because of fields of gold, fields of barley. Blondie, made her out of broken records. Sir Tom Jones, that was amazing, made him out of green grass.
Oh, well done.
From Cardiff Castle. Tom Holland, using a Spider-Man costume. The Prince and Princess of Wales. It's just been a bonkers year, to be honest.
And that's the thing, you just keep posting. I'm going, gosh, how many people you're meeting. Are they always so grateful as well? Because you always film their reaction, don't you, to the artwork? Yeah. And I think that's always lovely. But are they just always blown away by the time you've taken to do something?
To my face, at least. No, thankfully, everybody's been really lovely. Everybody always has been so genuine and lovely. And that means a lot to me as well, because, as you said, there's sometimes, how do I choose the people? people, quite often it's people that I admire, more often than not, actually, because I wouldn't really make a piece of work for somebody I don't particularly, that I'm not fond of. So it's always been a huge, beautiful experience for me as a person before an artist, because they're people that I really admire for everything that they do. So yeah, it's a great experience.
And just to think that your artwork could be hanging in their house as well. You don't know where that artwork goes afterwards. You're thinking, gosh.
Yeah, I recently exactly. I recently met Dame Shirley Bassey again, and she remembered my first piece that I gave to her, and she said, "It's in my kitchen." I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy."
So that portrait has seen many parties with Dame Shirley Bassey, I'm sure. How awesome. But you said, your work has a lot of humour to it and a lot of love and plays on pop culture. But you also do a lot of meaningful pieces that matter to you. So it's, and one of the most popular was the Thank You NHS portrait you did, where you created a digital collage of an NHS nurse using the Facebook portraits of 200 healthcare workers across Wales. So how important is it to you to show different sides of your work and to actually talk about really important causes, not just celebs?
Yeah, so I follow the news and the media quite a lot, and if there's something that I feel really passionate about talking about, I will. And I was always quite a shy kid growing up, so I didn't really feel like I had a voice. I wouldn't even be able to sit here and talk to you now like this. So I kind of used my art to shout and scream about things that I couldn't use my voice for. So I kind of feel like I still do that more so. And things like when the pandemic hit, I just felt like I had to create something as a thank you to these frontline workers. Most of my friends work within the NHS, and I knew that I needed to do something to show gratitude. And this was, before like the clap for carers and all this other stuff started to happen. And yeah, I really felt like I had to create that piece, and it kind of went viral all around the world. It was front page newspapers, it was on TV in Australia and America, it was in the opening credits of TV shows here in the UK. It was just kind of crazy. And similarly, other things I've done for things like fighting for equality and LGBTQ rights, even working with people like Gareth Thomas to talk about his HIV story and things that I'm really passionate about. So yeah, art can really pack a punch when you need it to.
That's great to say as well, to use art as your voice if you feel voiceless as well. And I bet a lot of communities feel like, we're being spoken about in a creative, expressive way. And art is history too. Yeah. So people will look back on COVID times and see your artwork, and you have a place in history.
Yeah, I've had a few people actually say that to me, and that's kind of hard for me to get my head around. And then, when you think when we're in school and we look back at things throughout history, and there's always one image or something that pops up, that may be that. And that's kind of hard for me to think about, because I just did something that came so natural to me. But yeah, I've had a lot of really lovely positive stories and messages because of that piece of work.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I want to keep talking about your art, and I really want to talk about how you got into art. Yeah. We're just going to have a bit of music and then we'll keep chatting.
Lovely.
Thanks, Nathan. Hiya, it's Bronwen with you on BBC Radio Wales, and I am currently chatting to Cardiff artist Nathan Wyburn. Now, Nathan, can I take you back to growing up in Ebbw Vale?
Oh, yeah.
And did you ever think back then you would be able to make a career out of being an artist?
Do you know what? The actual answer is no. I always dreamt a lot. I was always a dreamer. I always was. But I had no idea where I wanted to go, what my life was going to be. So I always tried really hard in school to try and do everything I could. I was quite academic, thankfully. I was quite sporty as well, believe it or not. I used to run track and all that. But art was always the thing that kind of got me through. I was picked on quite a lot in school, and I've got really vivid memories of sort of locking myself in my room and just sketching all the time, constantly drawing things like my dad's album covers of like Iron Maiden and Status Quo and things like that. And he used to really push me to do that. And when it came to choosing my GCSE options, my art teacher at the time, Miss Slater, she really pushed for it. And yeah, she said, even if you don't choose her as an option, you come in here every Tuesday after school and I'll sit with you and we'll do it. And wow. We did, and I did the GCSE in my own time. And if it wasn't for her pushing that, I don't know what I would be doing now. Art just never seemed that feasible.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Coming from a personal note, I did art in uni, and you just needed that one teacher to believe in you, didn't you? And someone to go, no, you've got something there.
Yeah.
And thank God for these teachers. Mine was Mr. Rowlands. Hello, Mr. Rowlands. But it's just having that space as well to be creative. And I'm guessing your art room was probably the favourite place to be in school.
100%. It was a complete safe haven. It was an amazing place to be, full of people that thought the same way that I did. And that was amazing. And that's sort of carried on through the rest of my life. I've studied it at university and everything, but things started to go really well for me while I was in university. So it was kind of conflicting then, because it was sort of getting in the way of me doing what I really wanted to do, and it was kind of a strange situation to be in. But thankfully, yes, things have gone really well, and that is probably down to social media more than anything.
Yeah, so, you use social media, don't you, to get your art to a wider audience.
Yeah.
And art can be seen as something that isn't accessible to everyone, and it's as if it's almost elitist, I suppose, as in working class people, don't tend to have an interest in it because they're thinking, oh, well, maybe they don't see it as a proper job or something that they can actually have a part in. How important is it to show to, especially like working class kids, that art is something you can get involved in and it's a proper job?
It is a proper job, and hugely important, because, as you say, growing up in Abervale, my mother was a stay-at-home mum looking after me and my brothers, and now we've got 3 little sisters as well, so she's always worked really hard at home. My father, I just remember working hours and hours around the clock. We never really had anything more than anyone else, but I remember having everything we needed. But I just remember always dreaming of like big lights and big cities, and maybe moving to Cardiff one day and further. And so it was so important to me to achieve that and do that. But I think when people think of the art world, they think of sort of big white walls and galleries that are scary to go into, and they probably think of money as well. And those two things never come into play with me, because quite literally I believe you can exhibit anywhere, whether it's on the street, whether it's in a pub, whether it's in a shopping centre, or even hospitals, as I've been proof of, and they probably get more footfall than a gallery, to be honest.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't have to cost anything either. You can quite literally pick up a handful of dirt from the back garden, mix it with some hot water, and you've got something you can paint with.
Yeah.
An old lipstick, you can just draw with that. You draw with your finger in the sand like you used to when you write your name. Anything can be turned into an image that can be captured as a piece of art. So it should be, and I believe it is, accessible to anyone. That's
brilliant. And like you said, you go into schools, you do a lot of workshops. I've seen on your socials, you do workshops and things. And do you see like children that maybe don't like, maybe, I suppose, the more sort of academic side, or maybe children that are quite quiet, like you were in school, that suddenly come alive when they're with a paintbrush or 100%.
Something? 100%. And I always get that feedback from the teachers afterwards, that so-and-so usually sits in the back corner and doesn't say anything, but they really come to life during that hour that I was with them. And it's unbelievable how freeing some of their thoughts are, and their minds just, they're not tainted by the world yet, so they will literally come at you with the best ideas. And then they're quite cheeky sometimes as well, and they're like, I want credit for that, Nathan. And I'm like, okay, don't worry, I'll credit you if I do it. But honestly, some of the things they come out with, they're just genius minds. It's brilliant.
You first went viral in 2010 with your painting of Simon Cowell, and I remember seeing that and appearing on Britain's Got Talent the next year. And you've been in the public eye 14 years now. It feels like yesterday. Sorry. Sorry. You don't look a day over 20, let me tell you. But what are your career highlights? I know it's really hard to look back and think like, they stood out, but I'm sure some do.
Yeah, probably the first time I got invited to Buckingham Palace for the work that I do, that was kind of amazing. I also got to appear on a TV show similar to Britain's Got Talent 3 years later in Austria. So it was an amazing show in Vienna called Die Grosse Chance, which is Your Big Chance, I think. And I got to the top 10 of that. Wow. And I was so much more confident doing that than when I did BGT. Just because I was a bit older, I had a bit more experience, and I have so much better fond memories of that show than I do of Britain's Got Talent, because that just felt like a whirlwind. But that was an amazing experience as well. Getting to meet people like Tom Jones and Blondie and Sting, it's amazing. People that I've loved my whole life. There's so many standout moments. The NHS tribute piece was just kind of kick-started everything again for me in many ways, but yeah, there's too many to even think of. I got blank.
And the opportunities continue to come as well, and that's the beauty. There's like no limit to your work, and they'll just keep coming. And I know you mentioned your support for the LGBTQ plus community, and every year you put on a fundraising event, don't you, called Drag to Church?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yes, so that is put on by myself and my best mate Wayne, and we kind of come up with this crazy idea because a local church was basically in ruin in Roath here in Cardiff, St Andrew's Church, and we were approached to help fundraise for the roof, and the Reverend Des said we need about 10 grand. I was like, okay, so how on earth are we going to do this? So Wayne actually had the initial idea of contacting all of our local drag act friends here in Cardiff, because we work with them so many times throughout the year and over the years, and putting on a Christmas fundraiser show of loads of drag acts in a church. And it's in its 6th year, just done our 6th show, raised 14.5 grand this December.
Wow.
We had 2 shows this year instead of 1, and it's just growing and growing and growing. It's getting attention from all over the place. We had Charlotte Church there singing with us this year. It's been on the One Show and a few other things as well. But over the years, we're probably in excess of 100k now, I think.
I think the roof is fixed then now, is it?
Well, the thing is, with these old buildings, every time you fix something else breaks. So I think we're kind of stuck to it now. I can't get out of it. So every Christmas now, I've got to contact those drag acts, and every December.
That's brilliant. And it's funny, isn't it? The last place you'd think you'd see a drag show is in a church.
Yeah.
But it shows that drag is super inclusive and it's for everyone.
It's the beauty of it. And, you know, the people at St Andrews, they're so progressive and so forward thinking, and they understand that if they need help, ultimately they need help. And these two worlds coming together is such a beautiful story. And it's been an education on both sides as well. And, you know, some of the stories that some of the drag acts and some of the people that frequent some of the LGBTQ bars here in Cardiff have told us about their relationship with Christianity in the church over the years and how it's rekindled that, and vice versa. So it's had so many amazing stories to it.
I got goosebumps then. It's like it's bringing two groups of people that don't normally cross paths, and I think that's wonderful.
It's lovely, it really is.
Yeah, safe place for everyone. How
magic.
Fantastic. Well, I'm guessing you're going to do Drag to Church next, in December this year. So what's 2024 looking like? Apart from Drag to Church, what else have you got going on this year?
Ooh, do you know, so in 2020 I released 2 books of my work as well, so I'm working on my 4th one, because I released one a lot when I was a lot younger as well, so working on my 4th one this year. I've got a couple of big projects coming up. I've been working with a new hospital build in Tredegar, so obviously so close to Ebervale. They asked me if I could design all the artwork for the building.
Wow.
So that was a pretty big project I've been working on over recent months.
How many pieces would that be, probably?
It's about 40.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
me,
and
well
a sculpture and a few other things. And
do you have people help you for that?
Not really, no.
Oh, you do it all yourself?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those people that needs to, just get on with it.
Wow.
So I lock myself away and do it. So that's been an experience. So a lot of that is being printed onto the walls and stuff probably as we speak. Cool. So that hospital is due to open in a few months. So that's very exciting. I'm sure that'll be all over my socials as well. A couple of travelling things to do. I've just had an email come through about a big TV show in America that I can't really talk about, but I like to tease.
Well, you're going international, I tell you what.
I'll tell you off air. So it's really exciting.
Oh, wonderful. I'll probably see you in Pride as well this year.
Yes, definitely. 100%.
Fantastic. Well, Nath, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you. Like, obviously, we get on, like, off air. I've seen you so many times, but I really got to know so much more about you today.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
And, keep fighting the good fight. And we're so proud of you here at BBC Radio Wales.
Oh, thank you.
Ta-da.